Greetings, fellow YouTubers. Steven Jackson here again, and I'd like to offer my 2 cents on a video that was released about 4 months ago to much acclaim and fanfare by a channel called Fix It in Post. Their video is Star Wars Scene 38 Reimagined. Now what this is a modern take of the famous duel between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi in the movie Star Wars, as we all know as Episode 4, A New Hope. Now, as we all know from watching the original movie, the original duel left a lot of people wanting because the lightsaber choreography was lacking. There were lots of, small, quick movements. There wasn't a lot of flashiness to it. In some ways, it was kind of boring. I mean, it's not really surprising. I mean, Alec Guinness was 63 at the time. You really weren't going to expect him to be whooping around like Chow Yun-Fat and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I mean, it wouldn't have been possible. I mean, despite the leaps and bounds made by Industrial Light and Magic in their work creating the effects of Star Wars, they could only do so much. But of course, one of the best things about Star Wars and Star Trek and other big franchises is that sometimes fans can bring something to the franchise that sometimes is really surprising. And with a fraction of the resources available to Industrial Light and Magic and Skywalker Sound and, well, Disney, these guys have made something that is just damn good. After all, as the movies progressed, we got to see Luke and Vader fight on Cloud City in Episode 5, and that was a good duel. And then we got to see their climactic showdown in Return of the Jedi. But we still had a half-trained Jedi and a broken old man, with cybernetic limbs, a respirator suit. So this wasn't lightsaber fighting in its prime. And that all changed with Episode 1 in 1999, where we got to see Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi and their incredible duel with Darth Maul, and we could finally see this is what fighting with lightsabers is all about. Fast-paced, well choreographed. I mean, there were times where it was like, they don't look like they're trying to kill each other. They just look like they're trying to hit their blades. But at the same time, you still felt a rush of excitement just seeing these warriors just going at it, giving their all. And then it improved, with the duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin versus Count Dooku, and then Yoda versus Dooku, which I know some people think like Yoda shouldn't have a lightsaber, but I thought it was great. And then we got to see Obi-Wan and Anakin just going at it in Episode 3. Just no holds barred, pulling out all the stops, kill or be killed. This was the one. This is where everyone was going, this is what we've been waiting for. And it was so much fun. Everyone has their personal favorite Star Wars movies. For me, Episode 3 is definitely up there in the top of the list because it's not just a visually stunning movie, it's also a tragic movie. You see these two brothers in arms, walking down very different paths and then coming together in this explosive confrontation that leaves both of them heavily scarred. Anakin's lost all his limbs. He's suffered third-degree burns all over his body. His internal organs are, foobar is probably the most apt description. And then you've got Obi-Wan, who has been forced to fight and kill, or at least attempt to kill, the boy who became a man, the student who became a brother, and just seeing how much that affected him. It reminds me of the line from Uncle Owen, I don't think Obi-Wan exists anymore. He died about the same time as your father. And, Obi-Wan may have still been alive, but in a way he did die. A part of him died on Mustafar at the end of that duel. And now we have them coming together in this reimagined scene nearly 20 years later. And they've had 20 years to reminisce and think about the choices that led them here. And for Vader, he's had 20 years to think about what he's going to do the next time he sees Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, throughout a lot of the comics, there is a lot of focus on his particular obsession with Obi-Wan. In fact, there's one comic series where a rather infamous event occurs called the Conclave of Kessel, where 8 Jedi survivors get together and they're talking about what to do in this new galactic empire, like what can they do to fight it or just survive. And one of them reveals that this is actually a trap because they leaked a lie to Vader saying that Obi-Wan Kenobi was going to be at this meeting. And then you get this great scene where Vader just kicks the door in and the first words out of his mouth are, "Where is Obi-Wan Kenobi?" He doesn't care about any of the other Jedi. In fact, spoilers, he wastes all of them. It's a pretty intense and graphic fight. Just 8 Jedi Masters and they all die. Like they never had a chance. It's pretty awesome. But the fact that was the first thing out of his mouth was just, "Where is he? Where is that son of a bitch?" And so just to see that, in this scene, how 20 years of pent-up anger and hatred for this man just come out in a flurry of combat. It was incredible. Also, what the scene does really well is showing, not telling. The show don't tell method is used a lot because, so often lots of productions do have the problem of exposition, lots of talking to fill in certain information like about characters or background situations. And what this does, this reimagining, is it shows us just who these men were and what they've become and their feelings for each other. And as well as their goals. For instance, in the beginning, as the scene shifts from original footage to the new material, you get these 2 men walking towards each other. They're turning down corridors. They're getting closer, and you could feel the tension rising. And then you get to the scene where Obi-Wan's walking down the corridor and Vader's standing right there with the door closing right behind him and his lightsaber turns on. And then he has that great little line, our long-awaited meeting has come at last. And he's thinking, like, 20 years. I have thought of nothing else but this for 20 years. And he just lets it out, just all these heavy swings, because of his cybernetics. He had to develop an entirely new style of fighting to accommodate his injuries. So it's lots of heavy strikes, wide swings, and you can just feel the anger coming off of him. And in contrast, you have Obi-Wan, who throughout the lore is kind of regarded as kind of a master of defense. He's doing a lot of backing up, lots of defensive maneuvers. He's not trying to overtly kill Vader. In fact, you can imagine, as the rest of the movie is going on with Luke, Han, and Leia trying to escape, he's trying to stall Vader. He's trying to buy as much time for them as possible. Because it feels like, in a way, he knows this is where it ends for him. He's not trying to be a hero. He's just trying to do his part to help the other heroes. This isn't his story anymore. So you get the sense that, they're both there for their own reasons. Vader's there for his anger and wanting revenge against Obi-Wan for what he did to him. And then you have Obi-Wan focused on his companions, feeling like, I'm probably not going to make it, but damn it, I'm going to give them as much time as I can. And it's an amazing scene just watching these two fighting, because it's the kind of high intensity that comes from two men who are way past their primes. Like, these are not the young men of Episode 3. These guys, one spent 20 years living in the desert, one spent 20 years just surviving. In Rogue One, you see him, like, submerge in a Bacta tank, just held up, by supports, because that's the only time he can actually get out of his suit, because he's in such pain. Like, every day is a struggle just to survive. And so that's what these two men are. They're not the fighting men of their day. They're not in their primes. They're calling on everything they've got left, especially Obi-Wan. He's pulling out all the stops for this fight. He's throwing every ounce of energy he has left into this fight. To quote Ethan Hawke from Gattaca, from that scene where he and his brother are playing chicken in the ocean and they're swimming out beyond the side of the shore, and his brother asks, like, dude, how are you doing this? Because, his brother is supposed to be this genetically perfect human being, whereas Ethan Hawke's character has genetic deficiencies. And Ethan Hawke says, I never saved anything for the trip back. And that's what Obi-Wan's doing. He's not saving anything. And for me, that was just incredible to watch. Just seeing that these two men just letting everything out. And just, it's kind of hard putting this into words. I mean, I'm trying to, but I just love the way the scene was done, along with some of the new music that they use to accentuate the scenes, including that near the end where Obi-Wan does this really awesome force push and pushes Vader back, but Vader's able to stay standing. And then you see his helmet come up, and this version of the funeral song comes up, and then you hear the background voices from episode 3, Anakin saying, "I hate you," and Obi-Wan going, "You are my brother, Anakin, I loved you." And it's like, and at this point, this is it. This is the end. And so Obi-Wan prepares himself, and then, as you know, this is when Han, Luke, and Leia, and Chewbacca, they're making their way to the Falcon, and Luke sees Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan looks at him, and he just stops. He's done his job. He's gotten them as much time as he could. He doesn't need to do any more. And, Vader comes up with a killing blow, and Obi-Wan just goes, "Peace out, man. See you later." And just poof. And so that was amazing to watch. And then in the very end, after the Falcons escaped, Luke shot out the door controls, so Vader was trapped. And you have the scene where he turns around and grabs Obi-Wan's lightsaber from the crumpled robes, and then you hear Obi-Wan go, "You were the chosen one," right before the cape covers the view screen, and it cuts to black. And it's just, this was just good. Really good. Now, like I said, these guys had only a fraction of the resources available to Industrial Light and Magic. But the fact that they were able to make such an intense scene, to give it so much emotional weight and depth, is just incredible. And so I just have to say, fix it in post. Well done. Just bravo. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of your work. I really am looking forward to seeing where you're going to go from here. Are you going to make more Star Wars materials, or are you going to start branching out into other projects? If you do, great. I look forward to seeing all your future work. So that's my little rant about Star Wars Scene 38 Reimagined. I'll make sure to include the link for both the video and Fix It in Post page, so you guys can look at their work and see it yourself. And maybe you might have differing opinions. Maybe you might hate it. You might love it. It's up to you. Okay, so once again, Fix It in Post. Congratulations on creating a very, very cool piece of entertainment. And again, I wish you luck in all your future endeavors. This is Steven Jackson. May the Force be with you.